the premier scientists of our generation. The alternative hypothesis that marijuana use does not increase the risk of schizophrenia was not mentioned in the downside of high, although it was refuted poorly. Especially troubling to the pot schizophrenia hypothesis are data showing absolutely no relationship between increases in marijuana use among teenagers between 1970 and the present and increases in diagnosed schizophrenia. Two such studies are attached at the bottom of this letter. In the downside of high, the scientists tried to explain such results by reporting variations, an explanation totally without empirical support. In all, the science in the downside of high is shabby indeed. The more probable alternative hypothesis is not discussed at all, and the conclusions, in my opinion, are incorrect. It is not a significant contribution to the debate of a serious issue. I am surprised, therefore, that such a knowledgeable scientist as yourself would let this program slip through your scientific filters. So, sorry I didn't read it all that great, but
that was a big letter.
It's something that I think could give you a sense of the debate that goes on in this, as well as many other scientific fields where not everyone has reached a consensus per se, but Dr. Guywitz's points I think are quite real to my own experience. I've had close encounters with people who have had mental health issues, and unfortunately in some of those cases cannabis may have contributed to not contributed to, but they used a lot of cannabis when they were really deeply involved in these situations. And I know in one case, not so much with schizophrenia, but with depression, an endless supply of cannabis was not necessarily a good thing. And so for people that do have mental health issues, the use of cannabis can be something that on one hand is being used for some valid medical purposes, but on the other hand, it doesn't always help people getting off the couch and dealing with their lives. And so it's something that, because there is almost this blur between what is being used for recreational purposes and what's being used for medical purposes, scientists are able to almost say whatever they want when it comes to whether it causes schizophrenia or depression or contributes to it. And I don't imagine we're going to have any simple or clear answers for quite a long time. In many ways, schizophrenia is just being studied in its infancy as well. But I would certainly agree with Dr. Geiwitz and most of the evidence that cannabis does not cause depression or schizophrenia or any of the mental health issues that we may talk about. On the other hand, in some cases, cannabis is turned to by these people, and it might not always be the best choice for them. But as long as it's illegal and we're not able to truly study these things where people can discuss them openly, the science is going to continue to be quite questionable. It is very unfortunate, though, that David Suzuki and Cannabis Global and other media continue to promote negative stereotypes and images of cannabis use, despite the science and the scientists like Dr. Geiwitz who know otherwise. But it was the media that started all this in some ways too, so that's what we should expect, I guess. So anyway, yeah, this is just way too in-depth to try to get into now. I got a minute left. But as I said, the endocannabinoid system and the functioning of the brain are such delicate and important functions that trying to imagine someone whose brain isn't functioning properly, it's obvious that very strong cannabis is going to impact them. How it impacts them, though, is still up to debate. Now, one of the most talked about potential harms of cannabis is from the smoking of it. People have turned to volcanoes and vaporizers, I should say, to try and mitigate the potential damage of smoking.
Volcanoes are the cleanest way to smoke, right?
In theory, actually, I've also heard that bongs are great. The water helps take up tars. So bongs may, in fact, be as good, if not better, than vaporizers. It's debatable. Vaporizers don't necessarily release all the cannabinoids either. In fact, if you vaporize, especially with volcano or other stuff, you should eat it because there's still lots of THC and other cannabinoids left in it. You don't have to decarboxylize it anymore.
So they have to burn damper, which is a bong and a vaporizer together.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Green cedar.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It's called damper. It's really cool. Yeah, I tried it. Actually, I tried it at place, and to me, it was really better.
So like it
vaporizes. I really like it.
vaporizes then goes to a bong.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's a vaporizer goes through a bong.
But generally, the negative impacts of smoking cannabis are totally overrated. As long as you have clean pot, and you're not smoking a bunch of nitrogen and pesticides and stuff like that, it's probably going to be clearing out your lungs as much as hurting it. In fact, that's why for people that smoke tobacco, smoking cannabis can be so good because it's clearing out their lungs. I've said enough on the subject, and that's it. So next week is reading week, and the week after that we'll have Gail here. Thanks again, everybody.